and welcome to our Week 10 video lesson. We are going over Unit 5, the Personal Research Power Let me say that again. Okay, we're going over Unit 5, the Personal Research Project PowerPoint. It's a lot of P's. All right, everybody, what is going on this week? This is Week 10. Hang on, let me write it in there. Week 10. Sorry, I usually have that written for you guys. Okay, so we have President's Day off, so no school on Monday. Woohoo! You have a 5.09 content lesson, 5.10 content lesson, 5.11, and 5.13. You have Class Connect on Wednesday. Remember, no Class Connect on Monday because it is a holiday. And you have a plan for your personal research project due on Wednesday, which is worth 30 points. That's a lot of points. So make sure that we get that thing done. What am I covering in this video? We are going to go over alternative assignments once again. We are going to introduce the 5.10 personal research project. We're going to go over the planning document, and we're going to go over a completed sample. So let's get started. Okay, alternative assignments. If you are missing assignments, do not worry because there is a way that you can get caught up. So you can find alternative assignments on formative.com. This is the same thing that I presented in the last week's video, so I'm just going to run through it real quick. How do you get to alternative assignments, you ask? Well, you go to formative.com using the class code I have over here and look for these assignments. So for Unit 1, it's going to be after 20 years. For Unit 2, it's the 2.10 summary. And for Unit 3, it's 3.05 compare and contrast writing template. You want to read all of the instructions and carefully follow all directions. If you get stuck, don't worry, you're not alone. Just ask for help, so you can email us if you have any questions, or if you have confusions and don't know what questions to ask, you can just say, "Miss, I need help," and we'll help. Okay, and 5. When you have submitted something informative, let us know and we will update your grade. So Formative doesn't alert us when there's new submissions, so you need to make sure you email us to let us know that you submitted something so we can update your grade. And that's how you make up your assignments. All right, moving on. We are going to talk about today the Unit 5 final assignment. This is the final unit of the trimester. That's pretty exciting. So there are 2 files for you to download, and make sure you download both of those files, all right? And I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so when you log on to the online high school and get to our class, English 9, this is what the page looks like. To get to your content lessons, you can either go to Plan, so we see Plan over here, or you can go to Content, and there's also Content and Plan up here. So the way I usually do it is Content, and so I'm going to go there. So Content. We're going to wait for it to load. It's going to take forever. Okay, here we are. So I am in Unit 5, so I'm going to scroll down. Here's Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, Unit 5, and I'm going to click on that. And you see on the side, once you open it, it's 5.01, 5.02, 5.03, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 is where you're going to find the worksheets. So I click on that, and right there, these are the 2 things that you want to download. So there's the 5.10 research project planning document, and there's the 5.10 personal research project. So just like every single unit we've done so far, we always have a planning document and we always have the final. So download both of these folders because they both have important things for you. If we scroll up, we can see that's just the lesson. So the getting ready, the learn, and assessment. So this is how you get to what we need to get to using content. Let's take a look at Plan. So Plan is like a calendar, and it will show you what is coming up. So right here, see February 17th, we know we've got the Week 9 video lesson, and 5.07, The Way to Rainy Mountain E, which I forget what it is. I don't have my calendar with me right now. But it's a reading from The Way to Rainy Mountain and a content lesson from that. So say I click on Monday, you guys don't have class, so there's not going to be anything on Monday. Let's go to Wednesday, this week Wednesday. There's where our 5.10 workshop plan and personal research project is. So if I click on that, it looks like that, and I can say more, and it will take me to what I need to do. So plan gives you like by day. Content will give you by unit. So here's the assessment that I would be downloading those two files. So once again, to get to things, we use content and we use plan. Content organizes things by unit. Plan organizes things by day. All right. So how do we get there? How do we get to the final assignment? Well, first and foremost, make sure you download the folders and the files that you need to download. Read the instructions. Next, we're going to do the planning document. Make sure to read your teacher feedback from the planning document because we give you guys helpful hints to completing the final, or if there's anything wrong in the planning document, we tell you in the feedback, so make sure you're doing that. And then you get to do your personal research project. So the planning document is due this Wednesday. The personal research project is due the following Wednesday. So when you open the instructions, this is what you find. Let's do some highlighting. So directions, you will create a personal research project presentation in PowerPoint. You will not be required to share your presentation to the class. So you're just turning it into us. We're not doing any formal presentations for the class. Your project will be similar to the book The Way to Rainy Mountain in structure and meaning and will contain the following sections. So section 1, personal history. You will be sharing just the details of 3 significant events in your personal life. Use descriptive language to help the reader actually feel, see, hear, smell, etc. the events as you experience them. Please use the following events. So we're going to use the earliest birthday you can remember or a very significant one, a first day of school from any grade and any school, the time you first learned about the COVID-19 pandemic and that you would be in quarantine, or a significant event because of COVID or the pandemic or quarantine. So those are 3 events, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Section 2 is going to be your reflection. So reflect on each of these life events, explaining your thoughts, feelings, and reactions to them. You can do this in paragraph format or bullet points. You must use complete sentences and your best grammar, punctuation, etc. And section 3, world history. Include a media source about one thing that happened in the world on the same day or close to the same day as each of the events above. If you don't remember the exact date, you can use the week, the month, the year. This section is the research part, so please provide sources. And then there's some information about what reliable sources look like. So an online article to a current event about the time, pictures from the current event, links to news clips, applicable memes that were trending, and popular songs on that date. So those are some examples of the things that you can use. Before I move on, I want to share with you guys a little bit about the structure and connect the structure of these 3 things to each other. So this is the Way to Rainy Mountain. This is the culture circle that we went over in class on Wednesday of week 9. And this is the personal research project. So they all have individual influences. So that's from the culture circle. From The Way to Rainy Mountain, it's Mama Day's autobiographical voice. And in the personal research project, it's your reflection. So that's the individual you circle. They all have community connections. So these are things that come from your community, right? So the voice of myth and legend. And from your personal research project, it's your personal history, because that's the details. Those are things that you can ask your friends and family and be like, hey, what happened on that day? Do you remember? And that comes from your community connections. And then the global geographies that we talked about in the culture circle, remember that big outer circle that dealt with the whole world. In The Way to Rainy Mountain, that's the voice of history, right? The Anglican Western version of history. of the Kiowa tribe. And then for your personal research project, that's world history, so that's the current events piece. So that's just a little bit on the structure of the novel, and hopefully we'll talk a bit more about it in class. But anyway, I wanted to connect that to the Way to Rainy Mountain and to the Culture Circle like we did on Wednesday. Alrighty, this is the planning document. And it is due when? On Wednesday. So as you can see, it's a table, and we've got the birthday event, the first day of school, and COVID-19. But Miss, how do we do that? It's a good question. Okay, so here are 4 easy steps to completing this planning document. So step 1, think about which events you want to write about. Step 2, write about what you remember from each event. Step 3, find a world event to go with your memory. And step 4, repeat that for every single section. Alrighty, step 1 is to think about what you want to write about. So remember, we're going over these 3 events: the earliest birthday you can remember, a first day of school, and something about COVID. So those are 3 things that we all have in common. We all have birthdays, we all go to school, you can use your first day at Insight, and we all have experienced some sort of COVID-19 thing due to the pandemic, whether it was quarantining, or having a family member who was sick, or being concerned about it, or wearing masks, or anything like that. We all have experienced something related to COVID-19. So those are all events that are up for grabs. The first thing you need to do is think about what you want to write about. So for example, if I'm going to write about my birthday, I have to think about what birthday I want to write about. So I'm going to think, I'm going to go, what birthday should I write about? What birthday was memorable and significant in my life? So step number 2 is that I'm going to write what I remember. So this is my example. I wrote about my 18th birthday, and this is what I remember. We raced Matchbox cards with my friend's younger brother, and my mom threw me a surprise party. So that's the personal events in bullet form. And here's my personal reflection. I had spent the weekend with my best friend and her family. Her little brother had a Boy Scout meet that we were helping with. When they dropped me off at my house, they were supposed to stay for dinner, but when we got there, there were other friends there who I hadn't seen in a while, all waiting to wish me a happy birthday. All right, so I've written about what I'm going to write about. Step number 3 is that I'm going to find a world event to go with my memory. So I, of course, remember when my birthday was, because it's my birthday. But all I did was I plugged in the year. So this is 2017 current events, and I just Googled it. And what happens is you tend to get a lot of news stories of like a list of events that happened in 2017. You can click really on any of these. They're not that unreliable. It's news sources, history.com, CBS News, ABC News. So you can click on any of those and you can find a list of the biggest stories of the year. And then from there, you just pick one. All right, once you find your source, what I want you to do is I want you to save it. So I remember from 2017 that the solar eclipse was a huge, huge thing. So on one of those lists that I found, it said about the solar eclipse. And so I clicked on that link that it took me to. And it took me to NASA, which is a pretty reputable source. It's a good resource. And so I'm going to take this link and I'm going to go Control-C and I'm going to copy it. Or I can do right-click and copy. Once I've done that, I'm going to go back to my planning document, and in this section called Sources, what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste it. So I can use Control-P, or I can right-click and paste it. And don't forget in this section here that you need to write a little summary of the events that happened. So you have to make sure you have the source, saving that URL, and then describe the event a little bit. So talk a little bit about the solar eclipse or whatever it is that happened on that day that you're using. Okay, and step 4, you want to make sure and repeat all of these things for every single box. So make sure this box is filled, this box, this box, this one, 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 and this one. So make sure you've got all your sources, all your current events, all your personal reflections, and all your bullet pointed things about the personal events. Okay? If you do not have all of these boxes filled out, what I'm going to do when I see it is I'm going to send it back to you and I'm going to say, hey, you forgot to do X box or Y box or Z box. So please make sure to fill it out and resubmit. So make sure you have everything filled out. But Miss, how will the project look? Good question. Let's take a look. Here is my example. So all I did was I took what I had done in the table and I put it into a little template and I made a PowerPoint out of it. So here you have my reflection that I read to you earlier. I have the details and facts of the event. I have a world event that went with it. I don't think I read this to you yet, so I'll read it now. In August of 2017, there was a solar eclipse across North America. No one could stop talking about it from the moment we knew it would be happening. I remember they passed out special sunglasses in school. In Hawaii, we didn't see it at all, but my brother in Montana got to see some of it. And he did. He called us and he's like, oh my gosh, the sun is dark. What's happening? It was pretty fun. And this is a little picture of the sunglasses that they passed out. So there you go. That is one example of what your project might look like. But once again, we're focusing this week on doing the planning document. So this will come later. Alrighty, so let's see if we covered all of the things that we needed to cover today. So we went over alternative assignments. You can get them informative.com. We introduced the 5.10 personal research project. That's your PowerPoint. We went over the planning document. That's the table. So remember, you think of what event you want to talk about, you write about it, you then go and find a current event on Google, and then you save the source. Ta-da! And we looked at a completed sample. So we did everything we needed to do today. Don't forget that we do not have any class on Monday, but you still are going to have a Class Connect session on Wednesday at 9 a.m. Make sure that you keep up with your online content lessons and the reading. So by the end of week 9, you should be finishing up with reading The Way to Rainy Mountain, and you should be starting on your content lessons for the personal research project. So keep up on that. And please reach out if you ever need anything from either of us. Mrs. Seward and I are always available for you guys, so come talk to us. All right, everyone, enjoy your President's Day holiday on Monday, and I will see you on Wednesday at 9 a.m. Bye!